Howdy, SNF here. Apex Legends now has 15 characters to pick from after Horizons Edition in Season 7. This gives players even more choice than ever before. But who are the best legends to use if you want to rack up wins in the new season? Respawn has done a commendable job balancing out the legends to ensure that each of them is viable. This is particularly true for some of the lesser-used legends. Since release, some of the characters have been changed dramatically. In the Season 7 update, Pathfinder's hitbox was updated and his grappling hook was buffed. Here's a breakdown of the best legends based on versatility, their abilities, and composition in a team. Of course, this doesn't mean you can't master a particular character and become an expert with it. Starting off with the C tier. Rampart. Season 6's quick-witted modder, Rampart, has potential. But, unfortunately, you need too much notice to make the most of this legend. A defensive legend primarily, she is able to create multiple heavily armored protective barriers. This sounds great on paper, but in action, often falls short. Her ultimate leaves her vulnerable to flanking, and if you're trying to place down a shield mid-fight, it'll get completely destroyed in seconds. If you are set up in time for a fight, though, there is a good chance for great advantage with Rampart. Unfortunately, that is something that doesn't happen as much as being ambushed does. Because of this, her inconsistency places her down in the C tier. Revenant. Added in Season 4, Revenant had possibly the most hyped-up entrance of any character up to that point. But has he lived up to the hype? In terms of lore and mystique, sure, but not in terms of raw ability. Where this deadly simulacrum assassin shines is his ultimate ability, which allows him and his teammates to escape death temporarily. However, it's a risk that many players don't see worth using. Creating the same abilities for not just your team, but others, too, Death Totem can often end up harming you. His passive ability, Stalker, allows him to crouch walk faster and climb higher up walls. However, Respawn perhaps overlooked that this ability pales in comparison to someone like Pathfinder or Horizon. These two can scale pretty much any building, of any height, instantly. Revenant's tactical, Silence, is incredibly powerful on paper. It deals a portion of damage and prevents all enemy abilities. But it only works for 20 seconds, after which the enemy squad can use their abilities as they would normally. Perhaps this needs a buff to reset charges on abilities instead. Octane. Like Revenant, what holds Octane back is what he specifically brings to the team. In a solo mode, the Adrenaline Junkie would shine, zipping around the map, hunting kills. While his Season 7 buff to Swift Mend doubled his healing rate from 0.5 HP per second to 1.0 HP per second, in actuality, it doesn't improve him much on the team aspect. Octane is a very fun character to use. Even if not necessarily the best, it's thanks to his added mobility and quirky voice lines. Unfortunately, he doesn't offer a lot in terms of either attacking or defending. His jump pad ultimate can be useful to reach high places or to push up on weak enemies. In Season 5, his launch pad cooldown was reduced by 30 seconds. So far, though, it doesn't seem like it's been enough to make him a must-have over most of the other characters. The stim to give you a speed boost is great for escaping the incoming storm. However, it's not so much for evading enemies, as unlike Wraith or even Bangalore's smoke, you're still very visible and can take damage. Perhaps Octane's strongest asset is the ability to heal over time. This means you never have to worry about running out of syringes after escaping the storm or a fight. You'll still need to ensure you have shield cells and batteries, though. Moving on to B tier. Loba. Season 5's new legend in the roster was an immediate fan favorite. However, in Season 6, she saw a drop to pretty much the worst ranking legend to play. Now, with Season 7, she's clawed her way back up to sit as a mid-tier legend. The buff to Black Market Boutique allows you to take as much ammo that's available. It's fantastic, pushing her to be the teammate that everyone wants. Loba's tactical literally allows her to teleport around the map. And it's a move possibly even more powerful than Wraith's Phase Shift and Pathfinder's Grapple. However, it does hold her back from being higher, as it's currently very clunky. With eye for quality, being able to ping exotic and legendary items through obstacles, inside supply bins, and including heirlooms, makes this passive from the High Society Thief a fantastic one to have for the team. Crypto. Crypto was added for Season 3, but after all the hype died down, we have to be realistic and say that he is a lower tier character overall. With team coordination, the surveillance expert has the potential to be great. He predominantly suffers from the rest of the team, constantly pushing it and being outnumbered, but coupled with a great team, he can be a great support legend. For Season 5, he was given a very minor buff, as his drone can now ping banners, but it's certainly not game-changing. Crypto's ultimate, the EMP Blast, can be useful, but only if you time it expertly, meaning it is a much less useful ability in general gameplay than most others, and unlike many, it's not going to help you get a free kill. The ultimate is also greatly useful for scouting ahead and to break shields. Wattson. Wattson is a great team-based legend. In competitive Apex Legends, you'll see a Wattson in almost every team, thanks to her interception pylon. This ability destroys enemy throwables and allows a squad to hold down a position. Similar to Caustic, she also has great zone control. Combined with her perimeter security traps, if you're playing as a team, Wattson can be a great squadmate to have. However, she can't be placed any higher on this list because as a solo player, Wattson certainly isn't the best pick. This is a good example of Respawn's balancing of the legends, where some work better in organized team composition, whereas others will work better if you're queuing solo and can't rely on teammates to work with you. For example, putting a Wattson and Caustic together can make a very deadly combo if you play a more defensive playstyle. Also, if you come up against a Gibraltar, Wattson's ultimate can completely counter his ultimate. However, this may only be relevant in late gameplay due to the new map of Olympus. Bangalore. Bangalore is one of the more underrated legends who just misses out on the A tier. The problem with this militaristic character is that many players don't know how to properly utilize her ultimate ability. Neither overpowered or underpowered, she is great at maneuvering around fights and escaping with her tactical. Smoke bombs are great for both escaping and attacking. To attack with smoke, make sure you and your teammates have digital threat sights attached, and you'll have a massive advantage against an enemy squad in the chaos of the smoke. However, if you notice they're managing to hit you, they may also have digital threat scopes. Unlike Gibby's defensive bombardment, Bangalore's Rolling Thunder won't really do enough damage to kill opponents outright. It, however, will severely hamper their movement and vision. If you know the rough location of the enemy team, soften them up with the Rolling Thunder, then move in for some easy kills. Players of the Profession Soldier will also be happy to have Rolling Thunder's slightly faster explosion time in Season 7, too. Bangalore's passive is also excellent, making you a hard target when being shot, as she gets a slight movement speed increase. Moving above to A tier. Mirage. Mirage started off life in Apex Legends as a very underpowered character. His ultimate ability was pretty useless, and his tactical felt a bit gimmicky compared to many of the others. The buff to the holographic trickster is great, meaning it's much more likely to fool people into wasting bullets. A major buff to his ultimate in Season 2 saw him fly up the rankings with the ability to go completely invisible, an incredibly powerful advantage. Although many might think this is best used to escape unseen, it's actually even better when used aggressively to attack unsuspecting opponents. His decoys are hugely effective at bamboozling enemies, and they last for a full minute. His Life of the Party ultimate deploys a whole legion of decoys. Decoys now also have 45 health, making them even better bamboozles. Even better, he now goes totally invisible when reviving teammates, who also go invisible, which is possibly one of the most clutch abilities in the whole game. He also goes invisible when using a respawn beacon, too. Caustic. Caustic is a big legend physically and lacks the mobility of those in the S tier, but the damage output of his noxious gas is a game winner in enclosed locations. If you manage to get into a building, throwing down seemingly endless gas traps will infuriate the enemy team, hurting them, slowing their movement. In Season 7, the blurred vision effect was nerfed, but damage was increased, up to 6 to 12 ticks. Having a Caustic on your team can earn you a very easy win, provided the traps and canisters are used effectively in the end game. On his own, Caustic ends up being an easy target, but will shine when he's part of a team that highlights his abilities. However, with an open map like Olympus, zone control isn't as needed as it has been on other maps. Though, the Toxic Trapper can still dominate around zones. Horizon. The newest addition to the Legends roster, Horizon arrived in Season 7 with a bang. A breath of fresh air in the meta, the Scottish Gravitational Manipulator has fantastic mobility. Her fight-changing abilities are the recipe of someone players will be seeing a lot of in Season 7. Her ultimate, Black Hole, when paired with other abilities such as Caustic Gas and Gibraltar's ultimate are absolutely devastating. Quick and agile, Horizon's tactical helps her get to the top of buildings, meaning that she is able to outthink and escape the other legends with ease. She's a fantastic addition to the family of characters and deserves the spot here in the A-class tier. Lifeline. Lifeline might not be the most powerful legend from an offensive perspective, but everyone loves having a lifeline on their squad. The ability to have healing at the press of the button is another lifesaver, and the quick revives and revive shield are a massive help in those intense fights. The care package ultimate is great too, especially if your team is in need of some better loot when it might come in clutch. Lifeline can also use the blue supply bins for extra gear. The major buff to Lifeline was her passive combat revive, now allowing her to revive remotely, allowing her to stay in the fight while a teammate gets back up. Lifeline is still the ultimate team player. Pathfinder. Pathfinder climbs up to the top of A tier with this update. The prior Season 6 nerf, which boosted the grapple cooldown all the way up to 35 seconds per use, saw Pathfinder dip drastically in both wins and player rates across Apex's last season. However, with the newest update, Pathfinder received some much-needed buffs. The grappling hook took a 5-second drop in the cooldown, now 30 seconds down from 35 seconds. The grapple can be used to make a quick escape or to push up on weak opponents before they get the chance to heal. But, now, Wraith or even Loba might be better to make those quick escapes. In fact, Mirage's rework might be another reason for Pathfinder's decline, as those pesky decoys are very useful. Pathfinder's movement is still unrivaled on paper, and the zipline ultimate works similarly to the Wraith's portal, getting your team out of a tight spot or to get to hard-to-reach locations. Of course, enemies can also use it, so you need to watch your back. Devs also slightly nerfed his hitbox by increasing the size by 20%. He's also keeping the low-profile status, too. However, plans down the line to boost his power may even the change out. Last but not least, S tier. Bloodhound. Season 6 changes pushed Bloodhound up a tier, whereas they used to be a middle-of-the-pack legend. The Season 4 buff to their Beast of the Hunt ability was, and still is, a massive plus. In Season 5, they were been given another buff, with a shorter cooldown on the Tactical Eye of the Allfather. The tracking ability can prove very useful if you remember to pay attention to it, especially in the late game, as you'll be able to follow opponents' movements more easily. This has now been bumped up to 4 seconds rather than 3, as well. Bloodhound's ultimate isn't necessarily the best all-round, but it can be a very effective counter to Bangalore's smoke or caustic gas, allowing you to see enemies highlighted in red. It increases for 5 seconds every time you down an opponent. You can also use this with a Bangalore teammate to smoke out and then wipe out an enemy team. Recon is also fantastic, being able to survey beacons and determine the next circle's location on the map ahead of time. One negative with Bloodhound, though, is that using the tactical also somewhat gives away your own position, as enemies will know you are now close by. Gibraltar. Gibraltar has come a long way since the early days of Apex Legends. He was almost always avoided by players due to his large hitbox and cumbersome movement. Thanks to some much-needed buffs, including added damage resistance, Gibby is now a much more viable choice. In fact, Respawn just kept on buffing and buffing him. Now, his gun shield is stronger and incredibly useful. His dome shield tactical is great in skirmishes as it gives rapid revives. His bombs are even more deadly. The dome shield was nerfed slightly in the Season 5 update, lasting only 12 seconds instead of 18. However, it's not enough to take him out of the top tier just yet. His ultimate ability has enough potential damage to zone the enemy away, and the dome shield can be a lifesaver for not just you, but your whole team. You do have to watch out for enemies using it too, though, as there's nothing stopping them from getting inside. Overall, Gibraltar is much better these days, but he's still a big tanky character who is hard to miss. Some players will definitely find a more nimble character beneficial. With that said, he's a powerful asset on any team. And finally, Wraith. No surprises here, Wraith has consistently been among the most powerful legends in the game. This is thanks to a number of inherent advantages she has. Not only is her character model and hitbox tiny, her tactical ability Named into the Void grants her temporary invisibility, mostly, and invincibility to damage. This ability charges up fairly fast, too, and is an absolute lifesaver in numerous situations. It's quite often the difference between life and death. Her ultimate, the Dimensional Rift, is great for team play. It helps your squad get to safety and escape enemies or the storm. You do have to be careful to avoid enemies using it too, though. The 5% increase in damage taken isn't enough to knock Wraith out of the S tier. She remains a massive asset to any squad and is the ideal choice if playing solo. That's all I got for now, I'll be back with some more Apex.